When it comes to scaling agility, there's many different approaches you can take. Each have their own weaknesses and strengths, and all make assumptions about how your organisation actually works. Hi guys, welcome back to Project Management 101. It's Dave here. It's great to see each and every one of you. Massive thanks for your engagement over the past few months. It's really appreciated, and the channel and the community are continuing to grow. I'm really grateful. My aim when starting Project Management 101 was to help at least one person on their career journey with project management, and we're truly meeting that goal, and I love to see the engagement, and I'm so grateful to continue to help you. Today, we're deep diving into scaled agility. That's not framework specific, but really the reason why you might need to scale. So we're going to think about why, and then the different options and approaches, and we'll talk about the benefits and the disbenefits of each as we go along. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a comment below. Have you seen it work? How did it work? What framework did you use? Have you seen it fail? Let's talk about that too, so we continue to grow and learn from each other. As I mentioned in the intro, there's many different ways that you can solve this problem, but first let's think about why you might actually need to solve the problem in the first place. Typically, you need to think about scaling agility, agile, scrum, whatever you're using, when more than one team is working towards a common goal. So that might be towards one product. And ultimately the challenge is around better coordination, collaboration and integration, not just doing more Scrum. And some of the approaches that I'm going to talk through optimize for different things. For example, simplicity, governance, autonomy or organisational change. All of those require different frameworks or different approaches to make sure they stick and they help the teams really flourish. Just before we dive into the frameworks, I just want to preface it by saying we're not advocating for any of these. They're all situational, as I've just described. I've got personal experience with SAFe and Scaled Scrum. So for example, I might be able to do better, more focused lessons in the future in those areas. Some of the other approaches I'm less familiar with personally, but they're just a guide to help you make an assessment if you're thinking about this for your organisation. So let's start with SAFe. SAFe is the Scaled Agile Framework, and this is a corporate organisation that's built on their foundations and a framework which helps to bring to life Scrum at scale, really. With SAFe, there's many benefits. Alignment across teams is a massive one, and it really does work to help align teams, especially when they're working to a single product outcome or aim. It also has clear roles, governance and planning cycles, so it makes it really clear and easy to adapt some of its core principles. It can work well in regulated or really complex environments, and it can really help large organisations to move in the same direction. So in contrast, some of the disbenefits or weaknesses, if you like, can include how heavyweight it is. It can feel really full of bureaucracy. You have to be careful that you don't fall into a process over people approach. It should be people first, like Scrum and like agility. Whilst we value processes, we value interaction with people more. And the final real weakness of SAFe is the amount of training and role changes that are required to really truly embed it in an organisation. That can be quite impactful. And the best fit for my mind in SAFe is large enterprises where they need good predictability, they need to meet a lot of compliance, and they need a lot of cross-department collaboration and alignment. Up next is the LeSS framework, LeSS. And this is really great for minimalist, deep organisational change. It's very lightweight, and it keeps Scrum very pure, more pure than SAFe does. SAFe has some adaptations to Scrum. It's still Scrum-esque, but LeSS really embodies Scrum much more. Another benefit is it reduces roles and layers of complexity within the organisation structure. It can force real simplification of organisational process. And it has one clear, strong product owner aligned to one product, which allows better alignment and drive towards your customer goals. Some of the disbenefits might include it can be really cumbersome to implement the organisational change that underpins LeSS. There's a massive demand on discipline and cultural maturity, which some organisations struggle to get right. And it can be really difficult to implement in an organisation where there's multiple products all disguised as one, because it's hard to drive forward that clear, singular product vision. For me, the best fit for teams that want to consider implementing LeSS are teams that are willing, and organisations that are willing to make the change to organise themselves around one product and really focus towards improvement and growth and drive across that one product. Up next is Scaled Scrum. This is one that I know particularly well. You may also hear of this referred to as Nexus, and this is more additive to your existing agility processes, such as Scrum. The benefits really stand out here. It's much more easy for Scrum teams to be familiar with the processes because we're scaling up the ceremonies that they already live and breathe. It also adds only what's necessary to drive the cross-functional alignment to allow multiple Scrum teams to work harmoniously. It's quite a lightweight framework, so it's therefore very easy to experiment with. And it's a great foundation to experiment before implementing larger heavyweight frameworks such as SAFe. In terms of disbenefits for Scaled Scrum, one of them can be it doesn't really solve any organisational dysfunctions. It just implements some additional governance structure, if you like, within the Scrum framework at a more aligned multi-team level. But it doesn't solve those core root problems that you might be experiencing. Additionally, there's very limited guidance, so if you're in quite a large enterprise, it can be really hard to translate that without fundamental transformation changes and clear transformation roadmaps to drive forward actual implementation and how that affects people day to day. Somebody like me as a Scrum Master, I may be able to kind of envisage it really clearly, but if you're quite new to this and maybe you're not a Scrum native kind of person, it's going to be difficult for you to understand how your role fits into that wider ecosystem, and I think that's then one of the major disadvantages of Scaled Scrum. For Scaled Scrum, I think the best fit sits around 3 to 9 Scrum teams working together towards one product outcome, and really it's a kind of low to medium dependency type environment. Anything more complex, you might want to consider something like SAFe. So up next, we're going to cover like the No framework or principle first scaling, and this has some strong benefits. Things like its simplicity, its flexibility, and its low overhead. It lets the teams evolve the coordination patterns much more organically than some of the other frameworks we've talked about. It focuses in on outcomes, not ceremonies. And it's great for organisations that value autonomy throughout. We might experience disbenefits with this particular approach, including inconsistencies between the teams. It can be really difficult to align at scale without really strong leadership drive. It does risk reinventing the wheel when there's so many frameworks that could apply already. And for me, the best fit for this framework is really smaller organisations with really strong, great engineering practices where there's an awful lot of autonomy and empowerment. So, if you are thinking about scaling your existing agile structures, you might want to ask yourself a few questions to work out which is the right framework for you. Let's look at some example questions you could use to help you make that decision if you are looking at this. And if you're a Scrum Master working in an organisation where this is being talked about, you'll be able to bring some knowledge and advice to the table based on the topics we've discussed today. So the first of the 3 questions is how many teams will be affected when you add this layer of additional governance and scalability structure to your organisation. Let's say they're working at Scrum. How many? So if it's 3 to 9, We gave you a clue earlier in the video, but it will depend. So ask yourself that question and then make an assessment. Some of these frameworks work for smaller teams, but can be really heavyweight and be a massive governance burden for smaller teams where you might have 3 to 9, for example. Doing something like SAFe is going to be a lot of overhead, and that will really impact your agility and ability to deliver at pace. Another question that I'd recommend you ask, or is asked within your organisation, is how much organisational change are we willing to make? Because some of these frameworks are fundamental change job roles and have wide-reaching implications for your existing agile structure. And the last question that I'd recommend you ask, or is asked within your organisation, is do you need governance or do you need autonomy? And by asking those 3 questions will allow you to bring to life a bit of a tick box of the things that you need, and then you can look at the frameworks again with a fresh set of eyes and some data and think about which one best fits your situation. Scaling Agile isn't about finding the perfect framework, it's about finding the right fit for your context, your culture, and ultimately your product. Every option that we've talked about today has its own benefits and disbenefits, and the key skill here is knowing which trade-offs you're willing to make it work for your organisation. Drop me a comment below. Let me know, are you and your organisation starting to explore Scrum at scale? How are you getting on? How are you finding it? Is it scary? Drop a comment, let us know. Let's continue to grow the community and have great discussions. I've personally worked with Scaled Agile in the SAFe world and also Scrum at Scale. I know which my favourite is, but I won't give that away to you guys. I'm currently working with SAFe at the moment and I'm quite enjoying it. Those PI planning events are really strong and add loads of great dynamic discussion that you wouldn't necessarily get in other environments. So it's not all doom and gloom when you hear the SAFe wagons rolling into town. Don't be too scared. You can make it work as long as the organisation's willing to make the change. But drop a comment below. Let's talk about it and let's continue to learn and grow from each other. Make sure you smash that like button if you got some value out of today's video, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. We're going to deep dive into a few different topics over the months ahead. That's all for this week. I can't wait to see each and every one of you next week. Thanks for watching Project Management 101. From chaos to clarity, take care.